IVM.
Some time ago, 5 successful restaurateurs came together to form the Colaba Cartel. The founders of the table, Gauri Devi Dayal and J. Yusuf, partnered with the founders of Woodside Inn, Abhishek Pankil Shah and Sumit Gambhir to open a new restaurant in Colaba. If you've ever dreamed of opening a restaurant or love eating out, you want to listen in. The Colaba Cartel. This exclusive 10-part series is hosted by Gauri Devi Dayal and Amit Doshi.
Finally, we have Sumit Gambhir, and he is, why don't you tell us about how you, again, like Abhishek, this was what you were going to do. You figured this out pretty early in life. How did this become, what led up to that, and how have you, tell us about your journey, man.
So, like all my friends here, I've always known that I would get into the business of restaurants very early on, when it started off itself. My family's always been into hospitality. Corporate catering was the background that I came from.
Okay.
And, I knew very early itself that, I'm going to jump in very soon. And it was a matter of time before I got into college and, tried to see what I want to do, if it was arts or commerce, whatever I was going to pick up. And then eventually just jump into, hotel management. And that's where, I decided to get into catering college.
Okay.
Specialized in bakery and confectionery. Realized it's not for me.
Okay.
And management was what I was really interested in. And then it was a few years of hotel management. And I jumped straight into business.
Okay.
And I assisted my family on the corporate catering bit.
Okay.
It was exciting. It was fun. But, I did have, my family did have a background in restaurants as well.
Right.
And I just jumped into it and,
You also did stints at the president and at the ambassador as well, right?
Yeah. So those were basically internships that I'd done back in, this was a while back.
Okay.
But it was a great insight into how hotels worked.
Right.
It was great for us, understanding the sort of mindset from the management point, but also from an employee perspective, and being with others that because eventually hospitality is a team sport, like Abhishek said, and it is about managing people and people's expectations as well. People who are working with you, it's a team. Everyone together, builds a good. Everyone together build a good organization, and that's what was great on a very early level to view from in these hotels and the restaurants that we worked at, to get an insight into the minds of people working there.
So that's actually, that brings me to one of the things that I did want to talk to you a little bit about, right? So from what I understood, that you are in charge of the HR operations and stuff like that, right?
Correct.
Building the teams and that kind of stuff. What's your philosophy behind this kind of stuff, right? I mean, like, how do you look at what kind of team you want to build for what kind of space?
So primarily, it's the same thing that has, we've had in mind, when we worked at Woodside as well. We wanted people, who, besides experience, we also felt people we hired need to have a personality for hospitality. Mm-hmm. It didn't need to be just about, skills that they possessed with experience in food and beverage. We've taken on freshers in the past who had no experience at all in hospitality, but had something pleasant. There was some sort of soft skills that they had that we felt we could groom and we could nurture, and then they could be integral. They could be an integral part of of restaurants or the industry, and that's what we look for. We look for people who are passionate. We look for people who who have a long-term vision for what they want to do, and a lot of times it doesn't necessarily have to be hospitality.
Right.
And that's what we look for when we look for people, for our restaurants, team members for our restaurants.
Cool. Another thing I was noticing is that you manage the entertainment at Woodside right now?
Well, the music,
right?
The
Yes.
entertainment.
Yeah. No, so the question is that, see, you obviously want both things, right? You want great food and you want great entertainment.
Absolutely.
And you want both things, right?
Sure.
Can a place work with just great food and not great entertainment? Can a place work with just great entertainment and not great food?
I think it's an overall experience.
Yeah.
There are restaurants that do extremely well for food, and people would travel a distance for it. But it's a part of the sort of excitement of going to these hidden gems, and finding these spaces on your own, and then it doesn't have to be about entertainment with these restaurants. But for us at Woodside, we were very clear from day one that it was a casual space. It was a space that felt it needed to connect with what we were doing. We saw a clear gap when we were studying, and we saw spaces that were very high end. There were nightclubs and bars, and there were clear spaces that we felt that it was the only reason people were going there was for the pricing. And so we sort of felt there's a slight gap where there was a balance where we could get a great experience at a very good price.
Right.
And that's what we hit on, with Abhishek, Pankil and me. We were very clear we wanted a casual space.
Right.
And that's the reason the music, was a very, very integral part of the Woodside experience.
Yes.
So we have, we worked on a signature list amongst all of us, where it was primarily music from our iPads, from our iPods, and we put it together, and we realized that if we listen to this stuff and we like it, it was music from the 90s, music that was a lot of acoustic rock, a lot of alternative, a little bit of the classics as well. And we felt that easygoing sort of feel that we created was great for the sort of vibe that we were trying to get into Woodside, and that's become such an important part of the Woodside experience over the years. And it's also helped us with the other restaurants that we opened up as well, because as soon as we realized that people were appreciating it and talking to us about it, it was a confidence booster for us, because we realized that it's important we carry forward the same experience with our other establishments as well. And that's what we did at the Pantry, and that's what we did at Bobby Vintage that we've recently taken over.
Okay.
And that's what we aim to achieve at Misty as well. It needs to have its own sort of vibe, and music does help to a large extent.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to listen to attempt number 15 to record the promo for the podcast Vartalab.
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 All day, all night, Vartalab.
Oh yeah. It's a really nice podcast, guys. It's with me and Naveen, and it has really nice stories.
Yeah, people come tell their stories, ups and downs, fun times. We all cry at the end. It's like a Karan Joy movie, but in 1 hour or less.
Yay.
Yeah, every Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. It's IVM here. Let's go. We the IVM kids on the block over here. Just to talk, taking a break from producing all day. Coming on this podcast cause we got stuff to say. IVM Daily is the name of the show. Monday to Friday, we ready to go. Talking about stuff in our head. We might even talk about our favorite bread. Signing out, it's IVM here, the podcast network that's in your ear.
Catch IVM Daily Monday to Friday on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.